Repeat question here. Loss of water by guttation occurs in plants through hydrotode. Cuticle is made up of what chemically? What is cuticle made up of chemically? Chemically, what is cuticle? It is a lipid, wax. Cuticle is wax. Bark is a part of cork, or is it vice versa? Bark is a part of cork, or cork is a part of bark? Cork is a part of bark. What is the technical term for cork? Does he need some medical attention? Some medical help? No, I thought you were choking. What is the technical name for bark? No, I genuinely asked. Okay. Didn't appear like sleeping. Fully rolled back. Okay. Bark is what? Give me the technical name quickly. I'll ask questions, you have to tell, that's all. Bark is periderm. Periderm has three components. What are the three components from outside to inside? Phellogen, phellem, and which one is the outermost of the three? Outside to inside, tell me in an order. Phellogen is outermost. Huh? Is phellogen outermost? Phelloderm. Phellogen, phellem, from inside to outside. Phellem, phellogen, phelloderm, from outside to inside. Phellem is what? Phellem is, see again, confuse you, things which can confuse, but you have to remember. Very good. Periderm is bark, from outside to inside. Phellem, phellogen, and phelloderm. Phellem is cork. This is cork, cambium, secondary cortex. That's all. Equivalent terms. Bark of one of the plants is has a chemical which is the cure for a very prevalent, deadly, potentially deadly tropical disease. Which is the disease? Which is the bark, and which is the drug? It is a tropical disease, vector-borne disease. Which is the most common tropical vector-borne disease? Malaria. Malaria is correct. The disease is malaria. What is the tree whose bark is used as a treatment? The bark is crushed and the juice of the bark is extracted and given as a drink for people with malaria. Which bark? Bark of cinchona tree. C-I-N-C-H-O-N-A, cinchona tree. Cinchona tree bark is used as a treatment. What does it contain? The active component in cinchona bark is chloroquine. Chloroquine is the drug which is used for treating malaria. So bark, bark you can remember that. You can know that. Cinchona bark. We see that in a lot of traditional medicine. You take so many plant products, crush it, extract juice from it and give it as a potion. Cinchona bark is used for malaria treatment. So all the four options, explore this should be remembered. We have done many questions with this, but you have to keep it in your mind. This is from outside to inside. Phloem, 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 cork, cork-cambium and secondary cortex. Okay. Mohl's half-leaf experiment proves that an organic substance is produced, carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis, chlorophyll is necessary, oxygen is released during photosynthesis. What was the experiment about? Carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. What was done in half of the leaf was covered with wax, so that the leaf will not be able to absorb carbon dioxide and exposed to sunlight. After that, what did he do? Test for starch presence in both parts of the leaf. The one which was covered, the one which was not covered. In the part of the leaf which was not covered, there was more starch. And in the leaf that was less covered, or that was covered, there was less starch. Meaning what? Photosynthesis was prevented in this part. Concluding that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Forest with a thick canopy of tall trees with buttresses, epiphytes and lianas with high biodiversity is typical of evergreen forest, scrub jungle, deciduous forest, coniferous forest. Thick canopy with multi-level plants. What do you call that multi-level? Vertically you have different height of trees. What do you call that? Succession. Stratification. High level of stratification is found in evergreen forests. Scrub jungles, deciduous forests, coniferous forests. In which of these do you have very sparse vegetation? Scrub jungles. Deciduous forest also will have trees. Coniferous forest will be in the temperate zones. Parthenocarpic development of fruit is brought about by which one? (2,4-D) is what? Na is naphthalene acetic acid. 2,4-D is 2,4-dichloro acetic acid. These two are growth regulators, naphthalene acetic acid and 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. Okay. Parthenocarpy is what? Parthenocarpy and parthenogenesis. Two terms with partheno. What are the two terms? What do the two terms refer to? Parthenogenesis is development of a new plant without fertilization. Parthenocarpy is development of fruit without fertilization. Okay. Of the following statements, which one is true? DNA is single-stranded, RNA is double-stranded. Is it correct statement? DNA is single-stranded, RNA double-stranded. Is it right? Wrong. There is only one type of RNA, but there are many types of DNA. Right or wrong? Wrong. There are three types of RNA that we see. DNA synthesizes RNA, but RNA generally cannot synthesize DNA. That is correct. Why is it mentioned RNA generally cannot synthesize DNA? Does that mean sometimes it can? What is that sometime where RNA can synthesize DNA? Reverse transcription. So statements are very, very important. You should pay attention to the statements. If one of the statement was DNA synthesizes RNA, but RNA never synthesizes DNA. And option C also was there. Which one do you choose? You should choose the option C. Generally do not synthesize DNA. Okay, it could have been a better confusing option with that slight variation in wording. Statements you have to pay attention. The DNA bases are adenine, guanine, cytosine and uracil, and RNA has adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine. Thymine and uracil are interchanged. Which are the purines? Adenine and guanine. Pyrimidines are cytosine and cytosine, thymine and uracil, all three. Purines, which of these are common, are the same in both RNA and DNA? Options can be purines, pyrimidines, both purines and pyrimidines, neither purine nor pyrimidine. It is purine, same in both DNA and RNA. Adenine and guanine are present in both DNA and RNA. Pyrimidines are not the same in both DNA and RNA. So question can be anything. You should know the concept there. Symbiotic nitrogen fixation is brought about by nostoc and abinam. Nostoc and abinam are they nitrogen fixers? They are? Are they nitrogen fixers? They are cyanobacteria. Bacillus denitrificans. Bacillus denitrificans is involved in denitrification, not production of fixation of nitrogen. What is denitrification? Denitrification. Nitrogen fixation, nitrification, ammonification, and denitrification. These are the four terms you have to remember with nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen fixation is what? Gaseous nitrogen to inorganic nitrogen in the soil. Nitrification is nitrogen in the soil to nitrates and nitrites available for absorption. Ammonification is nitrates and nitrates getting converted into ammonia. Denitrification is all of this getting converted back into gaseous nitrogen. Okay, nitrification and denitrification are not opposites. Nitrification and denitrification are not opposites. Alright. Ammonia into nitrates and nitrites is nitrification. Reverse will not give, denitrification will not give you ammonia. Denitrification will give you gaseous nitrogen. Alright. Nitrates and nitrates. What is the opposite of nitrification? The reverse of nitrification is ammonification. The reverse of nitrification is ammonification. Nitrogen fixation is gaseous nitrogen to ammonia. Nitrification. Reverse, denitrification. Reverse is ammonification. Nitrogen to ammonia to nitrates to nitrogen. This is nitrogen fixation. This is nitrification. This is ammonification. This is denitrification. Many questions can be answered with this. That's all. These terms can be given and some question related to testing your understanding of these processes. Right? This way I have already done multiple times. Chromosomes having subterminal centromeres are called acrocentric, polycentric, submetacentric, acentric. Chromosome. That's all, no? 4 positions. This is metacentric. This is submeta. This is acro. This is T. That's all. This is a chromosome. Done? Chromosomes are lined up in the equatorial plane during metaphase. Chromosome consolidation, chromosome formation happens during prophase, lining up during metaphase, pulled apart during anaphase, decondensation during telophase. Then that completes the karyokinesis, nuclear division, followed by cytokinesis, cytoplasmic division. Conical root of carrot is a hostorial root, adventitious root, tap root, fibrous root. Conical root of carrot is a tap root. What is hostorial root? Hostorial root, parasitic roots, roots that tap into other plants. Hostorial roots are parasitic roots. Have you seen? You can find some of the plants here. They are growing on the trees. Their roots go deeper into the other plants' vessels. Okay. The plant is doing the work of taking water, minerals, producing food and transporting it throughout the system. These parasitic plants attach to that and take directly from the line. How do people within the system make loads of money by wrong means? Like this. For a plant to take water from the soil, take minerals from the soil, produce leaves and produce food and all that, there are lakhs of leaves working. Lakhs of leaves working. Alright, consider each leaf like an individual household. Each root like an individual household. The vessels are like the system. The water and food that is flowing through the vessels is like the tax money that is flowing. It has to be distributed throughout the plant for producing more better stem, more branches, more leaves, fruits, all of this, so that the tree becomes more stronger. The working components of the tree, working components of the country are these leaves and all the roots, individual cells, they are all working. They are all pumping in the produce, whatever they produce into the system in the form of taxes. Everything has got tax, no? The ink in this, the food that you eat, biscuit that you eat in the evening, every component has got tax. Income tax is paid only by a 5% of population who have a regular income as per the bracket. But indirect taxation, GST is paid by everybody, no? Even the person who is begging on the street when he buys milk or some grocery or something, that has GST component in it. So everybody is paying taxes. The idea that poor people don't pay taxes is wrong. Poor people also pay taxes. There is no escaping the indirect taxes. And all of that comes into the system. The role of the system is to ensure that it is allocated to various things for the purpose of ensuring that every working component becomes stronger. But what do parasites do? They tap into the system. No need to work to get access to resources. No need to put in your money, put in your investment, hard work, expose yourself to the risk of losses, damage, nothing. Just tap into the tax money, everybody is working, pull it out. If any of you get into bureaucracy as IAS, IPS officers or various level of central government officers or government officers, you do corruption, I will expose you. And this used to be my student. I am ashamed that I have been their teacher. Don't be corrupt. By right ways you can earn lots of money. The money that you earn gives you happiness. The money that you make gives you guilt, and you will have to pay back. There are other ways of payback. Health, family, children, education. There are other ways where you pay back, but you will pay back. Don't become corrupt. Don't become pastoral roots. Don't tap into the system and siphon off the resources from the system. Okay. Adventitious roots are, what are adventitious roots? Coming from the shoot. Roots that come from the shoot are adventitious root. Sugarcane has stilt root. Bamboo has, not bamboo, banyan tree has crop roots, like that. Fibrous roots are monocot plants coming from the same spot. The unwinding of DNA duplex is performed by an enzyme called lactase, gyrase, maltase, ligase. Gyrase. Gyrase is also called unwindase. Topoisomerase is helicase. Topoisomerase is helicase. It breaks down the double helix. Gyrase is also a kind of topoisomerase. It's similar enzymes. Topoisomerase, gyrase, unwindase. Lactase and maltase are digestive enzymes. Ligase joins the broken fragments. Which of the following is not an example of a prey-predator food chain? Seeds, rodents, snakes, mongoose. Is it prey-predator? Rodents are prey for snakes and snakes are prey for mongoose. Green plants, deer, tiger. Again, prey-predator. Grass, grasshopper, lizard, hawk. Prey-predator. Mangroves, shed leaves, detritus, shrimps, small fishes, large fishes. Now, don't we have prey-predator relationship in the fourth option also? In the first three options, we have a prey-predator kind of a food chain, clear cut. But in the fourth option, though there is a prey-predator kind of relationship, shrimps, small fishes, large fishes, that is prey-predator sequence. But we also have the detritus food chain linked to this. So right option would be option D. Though there is prey-predator component there, it is not a typical prey-predator sequence. Hypanthodium is typically seen in. Hypanthodium is an inflorescence, special type of inflorescence. Fig and banyan. These are Hypanthodium inflorescence. Conical root of carrot, done, no? Hostorial root we did it. Hey, is it a repetition again? Okay. Organisms where RNA is genetic material include. Organisms where RNA is genetic material include. Cyax 174. It is a DNA virus. Amoeba. Is it RNA genetic material? Amoeba is a protozoal DNA. E. coli DNA bacteria DNA. Tobacco mosaic virus, Ross sarcoma virus. They have RNA as genetic material. Chromosomes that play a role in sex determination are lysosomes, allosomes, giant chromosomes, autosomes. Autosomes and allosomes. Somatic chromosomes are called autosomes, sex chromosomes are called allosomes. Can you name a giant chromosome? Polytene chromosome. One more. Lamprecht chromosome. Drosophila. Polytene. Match the following: radial, collateral, bicollateral, concentric. It is about vascular bundles. Which one can you fix? Which one can you fix? Huh? Collateral vascular bundle is found in. Collateral is xylem and phloem are one next to the other, next to each other. Collateral is root. What is bicollateral? Bicollateral. Come on, collateral, bicollateral, radial and what is radial vascular bundles? What are radial vascular bundles? Xylem and phloem are arranged alternately along different radii. Okay. In collateral vascular bundles, radial is root, no? Radial is root, not collateral. Radial is root. Collateral vascular bundles on the same axis, where xylem and phloem are along the same axis. Collateral vascular bundles. Xylem on the inside or phloem on the inside? Which one is on the inner side in collateral vascular bundles? Huh? Xylem or phloem? See, remember the experiment that is done. What is the experiment where you cut the stem to reach the phloem so that food is not transported? What experiment is that? Huh? Phloem is cut. What is that ring experiment? No? What ring experiment? Some ring experiment. So food does not transport and the root dies. So collateral vascular bundle is along the same axis. Bicollateral vascular bundle is xylem in the center, phloem on either sides. That is bicollateral vascular bundles. Concentric vascular bundles is concentric vascular bundles. One is on the inside and all around it the other is covered. The other one is covered. Okay. In dicot stem we can find concentric vascular bundles. In root we find radial vascular bundles. Cucurbitae, Dracaena. We will explore this a little bit more. Okay. The Dracaena and Cucurbitae. Let me check it out. We will hold this one. Okay. Keep it pending. 104. A snake feeding on a rat is an example. Water potential, this is solute potential. Solute potential is also osmotic pressure. Solute potential is also osmotic pressure. So this is system A, system B. If water potential is not system A and B, make it high and low. more, less. So movement of water is from higher water potential to lower water potential. High, low. Movement of water is from lower solute potential to higher solute potential. Pressure potential. Pressure potential. Movement of water is from higher pressure potential to lower pressure potential. Okay. Diffusion pressure deficit. Diffusion pressure deficit. Diffusion pressure is similar to water potential. The pressure which will force diffusion to happen. Diffusion pressure deficit. If there is more diffusion pressure deficit, it will pull water towards itself. So it is similar to solute potential. From lower diffusion pressure deficit to higher diffusion pressure deficit, movement of water happens. You understand? That's all. This is all movement of water. All this is movement of water. This should help you to deal with questions related to pressures and movement of water from one system to another system. This is psi W water potential, solute potential, pressure potential, diffusion pressure deficit. Solute potential is also referred to as osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. Okay. Value always less than or equal to 1. Water potential is always less than or equal to 1. 1 is of 0. Correct, 0. 0 is of pure water. 0 is of pure water. Osmotic pressure or solute potential is always negative. Alright? Okay. Is it clear? These are all stock questions. Questions related to pressure, potential, stock questions, very, very high probability questions. Okay, next one. Imbibition is what? What is imbibition? Imbibition is surface absorption. Surface absorption. Sponge imbibes water. Sponge imbibes water. It will hold on to something on the surface. What is the pathway of transportation? What is the pathway of cell-to-cell transportation where the movement of water happens along the cell wall? What do you call that? If water moves from one plant cell to another plant cell along the cell wall, what do you call it? What movement is that? What pathway is that? Apoplast pathway. If it enters the cell, then exits the cell to enter another cell, that is through the cell, it is symplast pathway. If a question comes related to apoplast and symplast, you will probably answer. But randomly recalling those things is the challenge. Your repeated revision of your linear notes, your multi-perspective notes will help you remember this. Okay? Next. Ascending order of ecological units in increasing complexity is. This is a simple question. To start with, it has to be species. So only one option has species. Species is the beginning of ecological hierarchy. Species, population, community, ecosystem, biome, biosphere. One of the following pairs is an example of Hesperidium. These types of fruits is excluded now. Types of fruit is not a part of the syllabus anymore. Skip. Haploid plants can be produced by pollen culture, cotyledon culture, embryo culture, meristem culture. Haploid plants can be produced by something which is haploid when we start propagating it. Which of these four are haploid? Pollen. Pollen culture. Cotyledon is diploid, embryo is diploid, meristem is diploid. Virus-free plants can be produced by which of the following? The same four options. Meristem culture. Meristem culture gives rise to virus-free plants. Why do you want haploid plants? Why do you want haploid plants? For pure line breeding. Haploid plants will be helpful for pure line breeding. In angiosperms, triple fusion results in the formation of. In angiosperms, triple fusion will result in the formation of secondary nucleus, polar nucleus, primary endosperm nucleus, zygotic nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. Ploidy of primary endosperm nucleus. Ploidy. Diploid. Is there anything called a secondary nucleus in plant embryology? Huh? Polar nuclei can be referred to as secondary nucleus, but as such, secondary nucleus is not a common reference there. Chargaff's rule is applicable to single-stranded RNA, single-stranded DNA and RNA, single-stranded DNA, double-stranded DNA. Chargaff's rule is of what? It is of base equivalence. What does it say? The amount of purines is equal to the amount of pyrimidines. The amount of adenine is always equal to the amount of thymine. The amount of guanine is always equal to the amount of cytosine. Got it? Then adenine pairs with thymine through a double hydrogen bond. Cytosine and guanine pairs through a triple hydrogen bond. Okay, another question of osmotic pressure. What will be the direction of net osmotic movement of water if solution A, enclosed in a semi-permeable membrane, has an osmotic potential of 30 bars, osmotic potential of 30 bars, and Turgor pressure of 5 bars, while solution B has an osmotic potential of 10 bars and 0 Turgor pressure?
This topic is out of the syllabus.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Well, I like this pressure topic, so I bring it back. The phase of the cell cycle during which, anyways, you tell the answer. I have just told the question. Osmotic potential is water potential, higher water potential to lower water potential. That's all. It will be. The phases of the cell cycle during which DNA polymerase is functionally active is S, G2, G1, N. DNA polymerase is functionally active during S phase. Match. Krebs cycle, glycolysis, Calvin cycle, mitochondrial matrix, cytoplasm, stroma. Krebs cycle happens in mitochondrial matrix. 3. Glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. Calvin cycle happens in stroma of chloroplast. If you have to pick the odd one among the given 3, Krebs cycle, glycolysis and Calvin cycle, which one is the odd one that you pick? Calvin cycle. Why? Calvin cycle is a part of photosynthesis. Krebs cycle and glycolysis are a part of respiration. An ascomycetous fungus is Agaricus, Pleurotis, Phytophthora, yeast. Yeast is ascomycetous. Agaricus is the mushroom, Basidiomycetes. Pleurotis is also a Basidiomycetes. oyster mushroom, Phytophthora umycetes. Again, among the 4 given options there, if you have to choose the odd one, which one would be the odd one? Same 4 options. Agaricus, Pleurotus, Phytophthora yeast. Which one do you want to pick as the odd one? Yeast, why? Unicellular. Phycology is the study of algae. Phycology is the study of algae. Study of lichens is called lichenology. Study of ficus. Ficus is figs. There is no phycology. Phycology is there. PHYCO. Phycology is also mycology only. No, not mycology. Phycology is the study of algae. Phycology, PHYCO. Phycology is the study of algae or algology. Okay. Respiratory quotient, this is a good question. Respiratory quotient of sprouting potato tubers will be 1, less than 1, greater than 1, 0. Now, what is respiratory quotient and why is it significant? Respiratory quotient is the amount of carbon dioxide produced in relation to the oxygen utilized. So carbon dioxide produced divided by oxygen utilized. What does it indicate? What does it indicate? What does respiratory quotient indicate? If the respiratory quotient is less than 1, what does that mean? What does that mean? The oxidation of something requires more oxygen. The oxidation of something requires more oxygen. So that particular organic compound cannot be the source of energy in times of oxygen deficiency. Understand? That cannot be the source of energy in terms of oxygen deficiency. If a respiratory quotient is less than 1 or more than 1, that means what? More carbon dioxide is evolved with the utilization of less oxygen. What does that mean? Even when the oxygen availability is low, there is a higher level of breakdown of that substance. Okay. So, in anaerobic respiration, what will be the respiratory quotient? In anaerobic respiration, respiratory quotient will be more than 1. In absolutely anaerobic respiration, the respiratory quotient will be infinity. No utilization of oxygen, no, 0. Carbohydrates respiratory quotient is 1. Fats and proteins respiratory quotient is less than 1. And organic acids respiratory quotient is more than 1. So in sprouting potato tubers, not just glucose but organic acids are also used for oxidation. So respiratory quotient is more than 1. Chlorophyll molecules are green in color because they transmit green light, transform green light, reflect green light, absorb green light. What do they do? You can see green color because green light is reflected. Green light is reflected. So what wavelength of light is important for the growth of plants which are grown in the greenhouse? What is greenhouse? That green colored net they put in the area to cover the plants as a shade to the plants. What color of light is not utilized there? Not required for plants. What are they trying to do? They are trying to harness more green light or trying to reflect green light by putting green there. Do the plants require more green light or they do not require more green light? They do not require green light. That green color shade, no? I used to think that to increase the green light, they are putting that. But to reflect green light, that is being put. Next. Cohesive force existing between molecules of water contributes to plasmolysis, translocation, ascent of sap, osmosis. Cohesion and adhesion are the two forces, are the two characters of what?
Actually, the chapter transport and plant is not good.
Chapter on?
Transport and plant.
I know. Cohesion and adhesion you do in chemistry also, no? Do it, let's do it. Transport in plant is excluded. Cohesion is useful in the movement of sap, ascent of sap. Alright, next. Balbiani rings are structural features of allosomes, autosomes, Lamb-Rush chromosomes, polytene chromosomes. Balbiani rings are large folds found in the giant chromosome, which is polytene chromosome. Okay, polytene chromosomes are found in the salivary glands of insects. In ATP, the high energy bonds link what? Ribose with phosphate, phosphate to phosphate, adenine with phosphate, adenine with ribose. High energy bonds are what? In ATP, high energy bonds are what? Phosphate bonds are high energy bonds. What do they link? Phosphate to phosphate. In a nucleotide, what are the bonds that you will find? Sugar to base. What bond do you find? Glycosidic bond. Sugar to phosphate. Phosphoester bond. Base to base. Hydrogen bond. The common feature shared by guard cells and mesophyll cells is both guard cells and mesophyll cells have presence of chloroplast, dumbbell shaped structure, differentially thick cell wall, uniformly thin cell wall. Guard cells also are photosynthetic. So both guard cells and mesophyll cells have chloroplasts. Polysome is formed by, what is a polysome? What is a polysome? We have discussed this earlier also. Okay, I'll ask you another question. Presence of a polysome, presence of a polysome indicates that the mRNA is polycistronic. True or false? False. What is polysome? One mRNA to which multiple ribosomes are attached. One mRNA to which multiple ribosomes are attached. This mRNA can be monocistronic or polycistronic. Not necessary that it has to be polycistronic. So polysome is a cluster of ribosomes found on an mRNA. What is the right choice? Is it C or D? It is D. Many ribosomes attached to an mRNA. So see, look at this. C and D appear to be similar. Construction of recombinant DNA involves cleaving and rejoining DNA segments with endonuclease alone, cleaving DNA segments with endonuclease and rejoining them with ligase, cleaving DNA segments with ligase and rejoining them with endonuclease, cleaving and rejoining DNA segments with ligase alone. This is a very simple question. You have to break it with endonuclease and rejoin them with ligase. To promote the growth of lateral branches of a plant, what do you do? Axillary buds are removed, apical bud is removed, oxygen is applied to the apical bud, oxygen is applied to the decapitated tubule. What gives rise to apical growth? Oxygen. Apical dominance will prevent lateral branching. You remove the apex, lateral branching is stimulated. Remove the apex, lateral branching is stimulated. Identify ABCD transport. Transport is not there. But this is cell transport, cell no. See, cell biology is a part of our syllabus. Transportation in plants is not a part of the syllabus. Now this question is related to transport. Transportation in plant or transportation across the cell? Don't be very sure about questions being absolutely limited to what reduced syllabus has been given. Some of them are interconnected. Alright? Do this. ABCD in the figure, transport mechanisms. A is what? A is giving rise to? A is a carrier protein. B is uniport, one way movement. B is uniport, one way movement. C is what? Antiport. One is moving inside, one is moving outside. D is symport. Now look at the options. A is a carrier protein, B is uniport, C is antiport, D is symport. The book Dinaturalism was written by. Okay. Who wrote this book? Hutchinson, Engler and Prantl. It is a book on plant taxonomy apparently. Who wrote it? Who is known for plant taxonomy? Engler and Prantl. Linnaeus is known for what? Linnaeus is known for what classification? Linnaeus is known for binomial nomenclature and artificial system of classification. Bentham and Hooker, natural system of classification. Okay, next. A phylogenetic system of classification depends on. What is phylogenetic classification? Classification based on evolutionary relationships, phylogeny, based on evolutionary relationships. Evolutionary relationships as well as genetic characters. So it is both B and C. Which one of the following is correct about heterospory? What is heterospory? What is heterospory? Production of different types of gametes, microspores as well as megaspores. Microspores and megaspore production is heterospory. Two types of gametes are produced. Selaginella and Salvinia are heterosporous. True or false? True. Heterosporous pteridophytes have macro and microspores. True or false? That is also correct. The development of the zygote within the female gametophyte is the precursor to the seed habit. That is also correct. Where do we find that precursor to the seed habit? In later pteridophytes. All are true. In which of the following ecosystems is the grazing food chain the major conduit for energy flow? In which of the following ecosystems is the grazing food chain the major conduit for energy flow? Terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, both A and B, neither in nor B. It is terrestrial ecosystem. Purple cabbage leaves do not lose their color in cold water but do so in boiling water because. Why? Boiling will lead to breakdown of the membranes. Boiling will lead to breakdown of the membranes, releasing the pigments. Boiling water enters the cell easily. Plasmalemma is killed in boiling water. Pigment is not soluble in cold water. Cell wall is coagulated in boiling water. Plasmalemma is killed in boiling water, leading to the release of pigments due to membrane destruction. Identify correct statements. Secondary meristem helps in the healing of damaged plant tissue. True or false? Is the role of secondary meristem healing of damaged plant tissues? It is. Wound healing and secondary growth, both are brought about by secondary nutrition. Because of marked climatic variation, plants growing near the seashore do not have annual growth rates. Is it true? Does climatic variation stop the secondary growth? Annual growthings will be found based on seasonal variations. Annual growthings are found. There is no stoppage of that. So statement 2 is wrong. Monocot cannot propagate vegetatively as they have scattered vascular bundles. Is it true? Monocots don't propagate vegetatively? Is it true? What is sugarcane? Monocot or dicot? Sugarcane. Monocot. How is sugarcane propagated? By stem cuttings. That is vegetative propagation only, no? So that mention of scattered vascular bundles is a distraction. The age of tree can be determined by the height. No. Why is the Krebs cycle called a cycle? Because the most important molecule, oxaloacetate, is circular, because while the rest of the cellular respiration happens during the day, it takes place at night. Because the first molecule in the pathway is also the last, because it takes place in the mitochondria, which are round. First molecule in the pathway is also the last. Which is the first molecule and the last molecule? Oxaloacetate. Oxaloacetate combines with, come on, quickly recall the entire sequence of chemicals that are found in the Krebs cycle. Oxaloacetate plus acetyl-CoA gives you citrate. Citrate to cis-acrylate, isocitrate. Isocitrate to alpha-ketoglutarate. Alpha-ketoglutarate to succinyl-CoA. Succinyl-CoA to succinate, fumarate, malate, oxaloacetate. Energy dynamics. How many NADPH is produced? 3 NADPH, 1 FADH2, 1 GTP. Quickly again, glycolysis also. See, energy dynamics, number of energy compounds, how many ATPs, mix and match of combinations are possible in this. Glycolysis, recall the entire sequence quickly. Glucose 6-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, splits into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Both are interconvertible. Then glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate becomes 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate, 2-phosphoglycerate, phosphoenol pyruvate. Energy dynamics, how many ATPs used? 2 ATPs used. How many ATPs produced? 4 ATPs produced. Net ATP, 2 net ATPs. How many NADPH? 2 NADPH for every molecule of glucose. In one chain of glycolysis, how many NADPH is produced? In one sequence, 2 only. Why? Both glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate gets used, and again glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is produced from DHAP. Finger, wrist, thigh, jaws. Which is the strongest muscle? Masseter muscle. The jaw muscle. Okay. Have you ever bit your tongue? Painful, no? Okay. Yes. Why power of regeneration is minimum in? Power of regeneration is minimum in which tissue? Nervous tissue. Is regeneration completely absent in nervous tissue? Is regeneration completely absent in nervous tissue? Nervous tissue healing also happens, but it is extremely slow. Extremely slow. Power of regeneration is the highest in which organ of human body? Liver. So which transplantation of which transplantation in among humans has the highest success rate and why? Which tissue has highest transplantation success? I? Can you be more specific?
If there's no,
Be more specific.
the conjunctiva.
Conjunctiva, is it transplanted? Not conjunctiva. What is cornea? Corneal transplantation is most successful because there is no blood supply to cornea. There is no blood supply to cornea. Without blood supply, there cannot be an immune response. So corneal transplantation is the most successful. Do you know what is the major cause of blindness in India? Corneal scarring. Cornea not being transparent is the major cause of blindness in India. What is the percentage of that? 70% of blindness is corneal blindness. What does that mean? 70% of the people who are blind will no longer be blind if eye donation becomes a habit. If for 1 year everybody who dies donates their eyes, donation is of cornea only, it is not the entire eyeball. Some movie I have seen, eye donation, they will pluck out the eyeball, they will put it in some jar, the doctor comes and collects it and says, oh, we have done a good job. We have removed the eyeball and put it in water. We can put it into the patient within 4 hours, and they carry it in that jar only to the hospital. They go running and they take the eyeball, transplant the eyeball. Why cannot eyeball transplantation be successful? Why not? If somebody has a smashed eyeball, can I take an eyeball from a cadaver and transplant it to the patient and survives? Is it possible? There was an insect. Now it is neither in that water nor in this water. I just wanted. Why cannot this be transplanted? The entire eyeball cannot be transplanted. Blood supply can be restored. Nerve. You have optic nerve. Optic nerve has to carry the signal. So if I have to remove an eyeball, I have to cut the optic nerve and connect it. Connecting the nerves, it will not be successful. Nerve regeneration, same thing. Next question. Part of the alimentary canal of erythema lined internally by cuticle is out of syllabus. Earthworm is out of syllabus. Only we are supposed to have a taste of cockroach. Setae help in locomotion in earthworm but are not uniformly present in all segments. Select among the following that represent setae. Out of syllabus. Okay, 3 questions from earthworm. What happens in the secretion of parietal cells of gastric glands is Oh, this is the paper you are talking about, is it? Anti-hemorrhagic vitamin is CBAK. Vitamin K. Among these 4, if you want to pick up the odd one, which one do you pick up? CBAK. You have to pick one as the odd one and give the logic for it. K. Why? Why K? I'm not telling it is K. Somebody told it's K, that's why I'm asking you why it is K. Why K is okay? It's not K. I will tell you the answer. Can you tell me the logic? The odd one among the given 4 is B. Why? You cannot think about it in terms of water soluble and lipid soluble. Why? B and C are water soluble, D and K are lipid soluble. A, D, E, K is lipid soluble. B and C are water soluble. So you have two water soluble and two lipid soluble. Then why is B the odd one? It is back there. I don't know, it's dead or is it swimming? Why B? The others are single vitamins. A, C, K are all single vitamins. B is a complex. You have many vitamins associated with B. Next, heparin is produced by kidney cells, blood cells, bone marrow, liver cells. What is heparin? Heparin. Heparin is an anticoagulant. Heparin is an anticoagulant. It prevents clotting of blood. Who produces heparin? Huh? Who produces heparin? Heparin, histamine, serotonin, bradykinin, all of these are produced by somebody who is specialized in mounting an immune response, allergic response. Basophils. Are basophils active just like that? Basophils transform into somebody who will do this. Basophils transform into what? Come on. There are two cells in the immune system which are not directly active. They will get transformed into something else and then they act. Among the non-specific cells. Basophils will transform into mast cells. MAST, mast cells. So mast cells are also basophils only. Then monocytes will transform into macrophages. Monocytes will transform into antigen presenting cells. Monocytes will transform into natural killer cells. There are three types of cells monocytes will transform into. Macrophages, antigen presenting cells and NK cells, natural killer cells. Natural killer cells among the three are the ones which will identify metabolically deviant cells and destroy them. So cancer cells are identified and destroyed by NK cells, natural killer cells. Okay. Heparin is produced by blood cells, mast cells, basophils. The medulla has two respiratory nuclei or centers. Which center inhibits the inspiratory center when deep expiration is required? See, there are four given here. Expiration center, inspiration center, dorsal respiratory group, basal nuclei. Basal nuclei is associated with motor control to the respiratory muscles. It does not act directly involved in respiration. Dorsal respiratory group regulate normal breathing. The nuclei in the dorsal respiratory group regulate normal breathing, tidal volume breathing. When you want to deeply inhale, the expiratory center will be suppressed and the inhalation center or the inspiratory center will be activated. When you want to deeply exhale, the inspiratory center is suppressed and the expiratory center is activated. The carotid bodies and aortic bodies concerned with breathing are located where? Carotid bodies and aortic bodies. On the pulmonary artery, on the trachea, on the aortic arch and carotid arteries, in the medulla. Commonsensically, you try to arrive at the answer. Carotid body, aortic body. Which one do you want to choose? Option C. Carotid body is present in the carotid arteries. What are carotid arteries? Carotid arteries? Arteries that go to the brain, that supply the brain. There is heart, ascending aorta, aorta curves to become arch of aorta and goes down as descending aorta. From the arch of aorta you get two arteries. You get two arteries going on either side of the neck here. Going on either side of the neck and entering the brain. Enters the brain. So when you feel here, behind your trachea, you feel it? both sides. You can just lift up your head. Behind this, between this muscle, sternocleidomastoid, behind the sternocleidomastoid, you push your finger. Between the trachea and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Then bend your head. You feel it? No? This is a very big artery. Direct branch of arch of aorta. Behind that you have carotid vein. Okay. Central line. Many times when you have to see, you put IV line to smaller veins when you have to treat the patient for a shorter period of time. Suppose the patient is comatose, you have to keep giving IV drugs. Intravenously, you have to keep giving drugs. Where do you put the vein? If you put the line into these smaller veins, the vein will get inflamed because constantly it is getting exposed to the drug. The flow of blood itself is low in these veins. So what do? You establish a line into this coronary vein. You establish a line, say IV line into the coronary vein, and then you keep supplying. The vein is big. The infusion of drugs will be at a smaller rate compared to the flow of blood. So the drug will not irritate the vein. You can continue to supply medication through veins by a central line, or central venous line. Similarly, respiration also. If you want to support somebody for a short duration, you will give a mask or mask breathing. Ventilation also can be given through mask or a tube. Okay? But if you have to give long-term ventilatory support, again, unconscious patient, comatose patient, he might have a long duration stay in the ICU. This again will lead to inflammation of the trachea, inflammation of the respiratory passages. So what do? You open up here, tracheostomy. You open up here, puncture the trachea and put a tube here and ventilate through this tracheostomy. Next. Rate of breathing in hypothermia. Hypothermia means what? Reduced? Hypothermia, reduced body temperature. Rate of breathing will increase, decrease, no change, fluctuates. Hypothermia will reduce metabolism, so the demand for oxygen will be lesser. If the demand for oxygen is lesser, what will happen to breathing rate? Rate of respiration will be lower, it decreases. Lub and dub are hard sounds. One of them is high pitch and shorter. Which one is it? If you don't understand pitch. High pitch means it is more sharper. The first heartbeat, lub, is produced by the closing of AV valves, atrioventricular valves. The second heart sound, dub, is produced by the closure of semilunar valves. So the first one is of lower pitch and longer duration. The second heart sound is of higher pitch and shorter duration. Dub. Leakage of blood through the valves is heard as what? What do you refer to that sound which is coming because of the leaking of blood from the valves? Backflow. Backflow causes a sound. What do you call that sound? Murmur. In the human heart, there is a small oval depression left of the opening of the inferior vena cava in the interauricular septum. It is called foramen magnum, fossa rotundus, fossa ovalis, foramen of Panize. Foramen, fossa ovalis. That is a connection between the right and left atrium, fossa ovalis. That will close by itself by the time the child is born or in the early stages of the post-uterine life. If it remains open, it has to be treated. Medication can be given which will create closure of that. If that also doesn't work, then it has to be surgically repaired. Where do you find foramen magnum? Foramen magnum. Foramen magnum. Base of the skull through which the spinal cord comes out. Spinal cord comes out of the skull via the foramen magnum. In certain pathological conditions or old age, there is arterial inelasticity. There is loss of elasticity. This condition is called meningitis, osteoporosis, arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis. Loss of elasticity is called. What can you rule out among the four options? Meningitis can be ruled out because meningitis is inflammation of the meninges of the brain. Tell me the meninges of the brain, the three meninges from outside to inside. Tell me the three meninges of the brain from outside to inside. Dura mater, arachnoid mater, pia mater. Okay, which one is inseparable from the brain? Pia mater is inseparable from the brain. Pia means mother. Close. Mater means mother. Dura is tough, protects from the outside. Arachnoid means spider-like. What is spidery there? It's like the spider's web. The what do you call it? The blood vessels, the blood supply. I cannot show it to everybody. Anyways, I have the imagery from an ultra high resolution electron microscope of the retinal blood supply. It's so nice. Retinal vasculature. No, it's not. It will not be seen. I'll show you some other time. So microvasculature in the retina. You know, it is so small, the capillary network and all, but each blood cell can barely squeeze through that. It's so small. Such is the network of vessels that we have for the supply of material. Atherosclerosis contributes to arteriosclerosis, true or false? Atherosclerosis can contribute to arteriosclerosis. Why? Atherosclerosis will cause obstruction, which will disturb the laminar flow, which will disturb the streamline flow of blood, causing the blood to increase in intensity at the narrow part and strike the blood vessel at a higher pressure. So wherever the blood is striking, that will cause hardening of the blood vessel there, leading to arteriosclerosis. Reverse is also true. Arteriosclerosis can contribute to atherosclerosis because the damaged blood vessel will act as an attracting spot for cholesterol to go and get deposited there. The glomerular filtrate is normally in osmotic equilibrium with the plasma. Hence, the plasma is said to be isotonic, hypertonic, hypotonic, hemolytic. Glomerular filtrate is normally in osmotic equilibrium with the plasma. Hence, the plasma is said to be what? Plasma is isotonic. So, why do we say it is isotonic? How can it be? Then is it just, see, the nephron lets out the fluid from the blood, pass out into the glomerulus and the Malpighian corpuscle based on the size of the particles. It is a mechanical filter. The podocytes in the nephron is a mechanical filter. Allows anything which is smaller in size than that to pass through. So the electrolytes, everything gets filtered out. But can we say it is truly isotonic? The osmotic pressure of blood, is contributed to by albumin also. Albumin is not filtered out. So can we say it is in absolute equilibrium in terms of pressure, osmotic pressure? We can say plasma and glomerular filtrate to be in equilibrium in terms of the solute concentration. Solutes, electrolyte concentration, both of them are similar, but not exactly in terms of the osmotic pressure. Which one has a higher osmotic pressure? Plasma or the glomerular filtrate? Plasma post filtration will have the higher filtration of the osmotic pressure because there is albumin also, which the glomerular filtrate will not have. Okay, we'll do one more, or we'll take a break. Take a 10-minute break, come back, we'll do the rest of the process. Increase blood pressure by reabsorption of water. Reabsorption of water increasing blood volume. Now with blood pressure, do you remember? Blood pressure, the relationship of blood pressure with blood volume. How is it proportional? Blood volume and blood pressure directly proportional. Higher the volume of blood, higher the blood pressure. The relationship of the volume of blood vessel to blood pressure. The relationship of the cross-sectional volume of blood vessel to the blood pressure. Higher the volume of the blood vessel, blood pressure will be lower. So when question is asked related to blood pressure and volume, pay attention to whether it is the volume of the vessel or the volume of the fluid. More blood, more pressure. Bigger vessel, less pressure. The parasympathetic nerves arise from thoracolumbar nerves, cervical nerves, sacral nerves, 3rd, 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerves and sacral spinal nerves. Parasympathetic nerves are referred to as craniosacral nerves. Craniosacral nerves. Craniosacral nerves are the nerves of the peripheral nervous system coming from the cranium. The peripheral nervous system nerves coming from the cranium are referred to as what? Cranial nerves. Cranial nerves and sacral segment of the spinal nerves. These are the parasympathetic nerves. Craniosacral outflow. Sympathetic is thoracolumbar. Thorax and lumbar region. What do you find? See, there is something special about the sympathetic nervous system in human body. What is special about it? You find something associated with the sympathetic nervous system which you don't find with parasympathetic nervous system. Along the midline, on either side of the midline, you have in the neck region, thoracic region, chest region, you have the sympathetic ganglia. Sympathetic ganglia. What are ganglia in the nervous system? When I say ganglia, what does that mean? Ganglion or ganglia? Ganglion is singular, ganglia is plural. The bunch or bundles of cell bodies. Bundles of cell bodies. Cell bodies are present only in the central nervous system. The sympathetic ganglia are the only components of the peripheral nervous system where you find cell bodies. Cell bodies otherwise are not found in the peripheral nervous system. They are found only as a part of the central nervous system. Sympathetic ganglia, thoracolumbar supply. So parasympathetic is 3, 7, 9, 10th cranial nerves. What are those? Can you name them? Name the 3, 7, 9, 10 nerves. Give me the list of cranial nerves. Olfactory, optic, oculomotor. So 3 is oculomotor. Then trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial. 7. Facial is parasympathetic in function. Then auditory or vestibulocochlear. 8. 9 is glossopharyngeal. 10 is vagus. S is spinal accessory. 12 is hypoglossal. 13th one is also identified. It is called zero nerve. Zero nerve or nervus terminalis. Terminal nerve or nervus terminalis. Apparently, this nerve is associated with identification of the pheromones in the nasal cavity. They are present in the nasal cavity. They are attributed to the identification of pheromones. During the breeding season, one of the major reasons why pet dogs can be lost is what? This zero nerve. They can smell pheromones from up to 1 kilometer. What are pheromones? Pheromones are sexual attractants. So a male dog smells a pheromone, gate is open, he runs away in the direction of the pheromone. Now, by the time the dog realizes that he is out of home, he will not be able to trace his way back. They might get lost. So you have to be careful if you have pet dogs during breeding seasons. Otherwise also you have to keep them properly under supervision, because many of the pet dogs have lost the instinct to trace, smell and find path. They have lost it. They have become more human. They are treated with more love and care than you treat humans. Arbor vitae controls. Arbor vitae is tree of life. Tree of life is the white matter of the cerebellum. The cerebellum structure is referred to as arbor vitae. Tree of life. Controls what? Voluntary action, involuntary actions as a group movement of muscles, involuntary actions like secretion of glands, none of this. What does cerebellum control? Is it for voluntary control, voluntary movement, or cerebellum controls the balance and all involuntarily? Coordination, balance is voluntary or involuntary? Balance is voluntary or involuntary? Balance has the involuntary component. Cerebellum gets input from all the groups of muscles, gets inputs from all the groups of skeletal muscles, and brings about a coordination, keeping in view the axis of the body also, the center of gravity also. Why posture is very important. When you are standing, when you are walking, you have to give equal balance on both the feet, equal weight on both the feet. Otherwise, cerebellum will constantly try to keep your center of gravity in such a way that you don't fall. So if your center of gravity is constantly shifting because of bad posture, gradually your entire body will align to keep that center of gravity as your basis, that axis as the center of gravity. So if you are not sitting straight, if you are sitting like this, over a period of time your body will become that shape. It is not like you can sit straight and be straight if you want to. You will not be able to do that. Have you noticed some people will have shoulders not aligned properly? They will have drooping shoulders. Not Pushpa. Pushpa might be because of some injury or some whatever. It is scoliosis. That's a spinal deformity also. There are two spinal deformities, scoliosis and kyphosis. Kyphosis is bending. Scoliosis is twisted spine. Pushpa is twisted spine. Scoliosis. Did you watch Pushpa 2 also on one of the Sundays? No? You didn't watch it? Good, you did not lose anything. Horrible movie. So after you go back home, watch it. His shoulder he has twisted his shoulder so much in Pushpa 2, he can pick up something from the ground while standing. It's very ugly. Not good. But was not good. Anyways, I was talking about posture. Arbor vitae or cerebellum, group movement of muscles, involuntary. The cranial nerve which brings about the reflex of vomiting and swallowing is, vomiting reflex and swallowing reflex is brought about by which nerve? Hiccup is also because of this fellow only. Hiccup. Which nerve? Vagus. Why vagus contributes to this vomiting and swallowing movements? See, swallowing movements require this peristalsis to happen, so vagus supplies the esophagus also, contributes to the peristaltic movement. Vomiting has two components there. One, reverse peristalsis should happen, and the second one is tremendous pressure has to be built. Do you notice the pressure that you will feel in your diaphragm? Diaphragm will start becoming tense when you are about to vomit. Hiccup, how hiccup? How do you explain hiccup? Vagus nerve passes in between the trachea and the esophagus. Vagus nerve passes between the trachea and the esophagus, and a branch of vagus nerve also supplies the diaphragm. So when you overstretch the esophagus, many times it happens you have not eaten food for a while and you start hogging food. You eat big portions of food and suddenly you will start developing hiccup. What do you do to avoid, stop that or reduce that? You drink water. You drink water to clear off the esophagus. Overstretching of the esophagus will irritate the vagus nerve, which is in between the esophagus and the trachea. That irritation of the branch of the vagus nerve, which is supplying the diaphragm, will cause firing of the vagus nerve, causing abnormal twitching of the diaphragm. Abnormal twitching of the diaphragm will lead to hiccup. Alright? We'll move to the next question. 10th nerve is vagus, 8th nerve is vestibulocochlear, 7th nerve is facial, 4th nerve is trochlear. Over-secretion of glucocorticoids due to excess ACTH leads to Graves' disease, Conn's disease. What disease does it cause? Over-secretion of corticosterone? Cushing's. Okay. Graves' disease is caused by what? What kind of disease is Graves' disease? What kind of disease is Graves' disease? Autoimmune disorder, thyroid disorder. Alright. Conn's disease is what? Conn syndrome. Hypersecretion of aldosterone. Hyperaldosteronism is Conn's disease. Conn's disease can lead to, Conn syndrome will have malignant hypertension as one of the symptoms. One of the signs. Malignant hypertension. What is malignant hypertension? Malignant hypertension is hypertension which does not respond to treatment. It continues to remain high. BP continues to remain high. It can be because of hyperaldosteronism. What does it do, aldosterone? What does aldosterone do? What is the role of aldosterone? Reabsorption of sodium from the nephron. Reabsorption of sodium. So increases blood pressure. Conn's done, then Graves' disease done. What is Simmons' disease? Simmons' disease is pituitary failure. All the anterior pituitary hormones will be deficient. All the anterior pituitary hormones will be deficient. Gross deficiency of all anterior pituitary hormones. That is Simmons' disease. So when you find the deficiency symptoms of multiple hormones, stunted growth, hypothyroidism, cortical deficiency and all that, you can correlate it to pituitary failure. Calcitonin has little effect on adults, although it is sometimes given by injection or nasal spray in the treatment of arthritis, fracture, osteoporosis, dislocation. All four are bone-related diseases only. All four are bone-related disorders. Arthritis is inflammation of the joint. Can arthritis be because of infection? Can arthritis be because of infection? It can be. Then we call it osteoarthritis. Can arthritis be because of autoimmunity? What do you call it? Autoimmune arthritis? Rheumatoid arthritis. Can arthritis be a metabolic disorder? Can arthritis be a metabolic disorder? If so, what metabolic defect can lead to arthritis? You know it. If when I tell you, you will know that, oh yes, this is a metabolic disorder leading to arthritis. But you have to think about it from a different route now. Can arthritis be caused due to some metabolic defect? Can arthritis be a result of defective protein metabolism? Protein metabolism leads to the production of nitrogenous compounds. Nitrogenous compounds have to be converted into urea and eliminated in the kidneys. But if the metabolism is incomplete, it will lead to the production of another nitrogen-based compound. What is it? Uric acid, which will not be eliminated. It goes and gets settled in the joint spaces. What is the disease? Joint spaces, uric acid goes and settles down, causes irritation, arthritis. What arthritis is that? Gouty arthritis. Can arthritis be because of injury? Itis is inflammation. Wherever there is injury or infection, there will be inflammation. Arthritis can be because of injury also. To fall down and you injure the joint, there can be joint inflammation. Okay? So arthritis is a broad reference, it's not a specific reference. Fracture is breakage of bone. Osteoporosis is demineralization of bone. Can calcitonin help in that? Can calcitonin help in osteoporosis? Can calcitonin lead to remineralization of bone? We have discussed calcitonin is a bone forming hormone. What is the bone breaking hormone? Bone breaking hormone is parathormone. Parathormone can act on the bone throughout life. But once the bones are fully formed, they lose the receptors for calcitonin. That means calcitonin will not be able to contribute for increasing bone mass. Your bones are fully formed, well formed by the time you are 18 years of age. They are fully formed and they are fully fused. There will be no further bone growth beyond that. So it does not make sense for the body to have receptors for calcitonin, because if you have calcitonin receptors, then your bone will continue to grow. We don't want that. So receptors are reduced drastically. Then what is the role of calcitonin in adults? It will act as an antagonist for parathormone. It will act as an antagonist for parathormone, preventing the influence of parathormone, which leads to further demineralization. So, as a treatment for osteoporosis, giving calcitonin doesn't help in remineralization, it will help in preventing demineralization, further demineralization. So, demineralization is prevented. Remineralization will happen slowly because it's not zero, there are still receptors, remineralization still happens, but very slowly. Over a period of time, bone density will improve. Okay. So calcitonin is given. Next. Parathormone influences calcium absorption in the small intestine by regulating the metabolism of vitamin D. Vitamin D is associated with calcitonin. Vitamin D is also referred to as calciferol. Vitamin D is referred to as calciferol. Okay. Parathormone stimulates vitamin D activation. See, vitamin D production has got three places where it happens: in the skin, in the kidneys, and in the liver. Three organs are associated with vitamin D synthesis. Okay. Exposure to sunlight stimulates something in the skin that will further be metabolized in the liver, in the kidney, and finally you have the folate calciferol, which is vitamin D. What is enterogastrone? Enterogastrone is a gastric motility inhibiting hormone. Motion sickness is caused due to the excessive stimulation of. Now, should we consider this question as nervous system question or special sense organ question? Okay. Motion sickness is because of vestibular apparatus. Vestibular apparatus is a sensory component in the ear. It is a sensory component in the ear, the semicircular canals and the cochlea. Semicircular canals have fluid which will sense the positioning of the body and the head. Sensitive vestibular apparatus will lead to motion sickness. How do you overcome it? How do you overcome it? Does any of you have motion sickness? You get giddiness or vomiting sensation when you travel in guard sections? Some of you have that? I used to have terrible motion sickness. Okay. Last year, my wife insisted that we go on a cruise. 3-day cruise. I think from, we started from Chennai. Where did we end? I don't know. We started from somewhere and we ended somewhere. 3-day cruise. I was told that cruise will be all comfortable only. There will not be too much of movement. By then my motion sickness had improved because of a lot of travel. But it was good. The cruise was good. But the sea was bad. Complete. You are always like this. At some point I feel some stability is required. No? But it's good, you can go. How does it get corrected? See, motion sickness can be treated with vestibular sedatives. Vestibular sedatives. Beta histine is the drug. Beta histine is the drug. Whenever you want to travel, if some of you have motion sickness, you can take that 25 mg beta histine. Vertin is the tablet. Vertigo is the disease. Vertin is the tablet. Half an hour before you start traveling, do it. It's a vestibular sedative. It will take care. But the better solution is, as you keep training the vestibular apparatus with more and more travel, as you keep traveling more and more, it gets adjusted. It will align. It will become less sensitive. Function of the vagus nerve innervating the heart is to, what does it do? Vagus is what type of stimulation? Vagus is a part of what nervous system? It is the biggest parasympathetic nerve. Vagus is the biggest parasympathetic nerve. Parasympathetic stimulation on the heart is to excite it or is to calm it? Does the parasympathetic stimulation excite your body functions or does it calm your body functions? Parasympathetic. Calm. Calming effect is parasympathetic effect. Excitement is sympathetic stimulation. So on the heart, calming effect will do what to the heart? To the heartbeat. Does it increase the heartbeat or reduce the heartbeat? Reduces the heartbeat. What will it do to the stroke volume? Parasympathetic stimulation, what it does to the stroke volume? Increase or decrease? Stroke volume. Stroke volume increases. Why? Slower heart rate means that you have to pump the same amount volume of blood in lesser number of heartbeats. So what should you do? You will pump more blood every heartbeat. And because it is slow, because of parasympathetic stimulation, heart is pumping slowly, you get more time to fill up. No? Filling takes filling time is given, filling time is longer. So function of the vagus nerve innervating the heart is to reduce the heartbeat. Which is the hormone of sympathetic nervous system? Sympathetic stimulation will lead to the release of this hormone. Which hormone? If your sympathetic nervous system is activated, this hormone is released. Which is that hormone? This is the hormone's rush you want when you jump from mountains with a rope hanging on your waist. Huh? Adrenaline. Adrenaline and noradrenaline. Epinephrine, norepinephrine, same. Direction of light striking the retina will be out of focus. Scrotum regulates the temperature of the testis through the action of gubernaculum, cremaster, epididymis, tunica albuginea. Now, are all these associated with testis? Are all the four associated with testis? What is gubernaculum? What is gubernaculum? Anybody? Gubernaculum testis is a fibrous structure that is the one that drives the testis from the abdomen into the scrotum. It contributes to the formation of the spermatic cord, gubernaculum testis. It's the structure through which the descent of testis happens. What do you call undescended testis as? What is the condition referring to undescended testis? On the same lines, an unseen currency is also spoken about. What is unseen currency? Currency is something which you hold in your hand. Notes, coins, these are all currencies. There is a bigger currency now in circulation. Maybe it's also considered as the future currency. But it is not seen. It is not something that you hold in your hand. What currency? Bitcoin is what currency? Cryptocurrency. Undescended testis is? Undescended testis is testis which cannot be examined. It is still in the abdomen, it has not come out. What do you call it? Cryptorchidism. Okay? See, orchid. The shape of the orchid is like testis only, oval shape. Cryptorchidism, undescended testis, unseen testis. Okay? Cryptorchidism is a character that can be seen in which genetic abnormality? Chromosomal abnormality. Cryptorchidism can be seen in Klinefelter syndrome. Klinefelter syndrome patients can have cryptorchidism. Not necessary that they need to have. Cryptorchidism is a character that can be noticed in these fellows. Gubernaculum is the one which drives it. Cremaster muscle is the muscle that is on the scrotum. So it is sensitive to heat. Cold will make the cremaster contract, pulling the testis closer to the abdomen, keeping it warm. More heat will make the cremaster muscle relax, pushing the scrotum away from the body, so taking the testis away from the core of the body. Epididymis is the passage for the sperms. Tunica albuginea is what? Covering around the testis. What is the other covering? Tunica albuginea and tunica vaginalis. When mammary glands of a male develop similarly to that of a female, the condition is known as gonochorism, gynecomastia, feminism, gynism. Gynicism is a random term. It has got no meaning as such. Alright? Gonochorism is a reference to the species with clearly identifiable male and female. Gynecomastia, gyne is a reference to female. Mast is a reference to mammary gland. Gynecomastia is a reference to female-like mammary glands or female-like breasts. That is male developing, female like breasts. See, it is breast development, not mammary gland development. It is the development of the breast tissue in gynecomastia. Mammary glands do not develop. There is no maturation of mammary glands as such. Alright? The branch of embryology which concerns the study of abnormal embryonic development is termed as gerontology. Gerontology is the study of geriatric problems. Geriatry and its effects. Geriatry means old age study. Geriatrics is the study of old age. Geriatrics is a good branch of medicine, evolving branch of medicine. Geriatrics. Humans are more likely to survive longer years because of advancements in medical care. Not suicide. Generally, that's how life works. You aspire for something, you are likely to get it. One of our teachers, she had a massive heart attack when she was in school. She has 2 daughters, both of them are in America. She and her husband, she is 69-year-old, her husband is 75-year-old. She was in the class, suddenly she started developing some giddiness. She came down, she had a bout of vomiting. She told the other teachers, mostly I'm having a heart attack, I'll go, and she went home with her husband, she went to the hospital. She survived eventually. Her daughters were in America, are in America. Our teachers took turn, one person every day for almost 10 days during her hospital stay. She is recovering now. She is back also. Well, we have reduced the workload. So there, gerontology. Gerontology is the study of aging and its effects. You should understand the age-related changes that happens in all systems of the body and adapt to that. In fact, Alzheimer's disease is likely to increase in this generation, in the coming generations. Why Alzheimer's disease is likely to increase? One of the reasons for Alzheimer's disease is not enough stimulation of the nervous system. It's a neurodegenerative disorder. If you keep your nervous system active, intellectually you are triggering the nervous system, you are challenging the nervous system, intellectually you are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. You are likely to push it, even if you are prone for it. Intellectual passivity is a reason that can accelerate the manifestation of Alzheimer's disease. So intellectually one should be active. Why this generation is likely to develop Alzheimer's disease or the further generations? Intellectual engagement is there, stimulation is there, but not active stimulation. It is hypersensory stimulation. Teratology is the study of abnormalities. Teratogen, you should know this, carcinogen and teratogen. Remember these two. Carcinogen is something which can trigger development of cancer. Teratogen is something which can interfere in the development of the embryo. During the embryonic development, anything that will interfere with the embryonic development is a teratogen. Drugs. Many drugs are not safe during pregnancy because they have teratogenic effect on the baby, on the developing baby. And you should know that if any particular development is interfered with and the interfering influence is withdrawn, after that it will not continue from where it stopped. It will continue from where it is supposed to be at this point. Let's say week 7 was interrupted. Week 7 of the embryonic development was interrupted by something. When you withdraw that, whatever was prevented from developing will not develop. Whenever you withdraw the influence, what can develop from that point of time will happen. What did not develop has not developed. Have you noticed people with cleft lip and cleft palate? Cleft lip, split lip, primarily because of teratogenic effect. Something they would have taken which interfered with this. Teratogen. Infections also can be teratogenic. Some infections can become teratogenic and interfere with the development of the baby. So all of us are born without any genetic and birth defects. That itself is a miracle. There are so many forces which are trying to interfere with these processes. Okay. Part of the primitive gut is yolk sac, trophoblast, inner cell mass, all of this. See, trophoblast develops into the placenta, inner cell mass develops into the embryo, yolk sac is a part of the primitive gut. Yolk sac, allantois, and what are the extraembryonic membranes of the fetus? Amnion, chorion, allantois, and yolk sac. These are the four extraembryonic membranes. Amnion gives rise to the development of the amniotic cavity and the fluid. Chorion gives rise to the development of the chorionic villi, which form the part of the placenta. Yolk sac is the primitive gut. Yolk sac also contributes to blood development. Allantois is the primitive excretory organ. The nitrogenous wastes that are produced are accumulated in the allantois until the development of the excretory system. So these are the four extraembryonic membranes. Assertion reasoning. As polyspermy is slowly blocked, cortical granules explode and release their contents into the perivitelline space. True or false? Is assertion true? Is this talking about humans? Is it talking about humans? Perivitelline space is the space around the vitelline membrane. Do humans have vitelline membrane? Do we talk about vitelline membrane in humans? We talk about vitelline membrane in amphibians, frogs. So anyways, the structures are similar. Cortical granules are what? The ovum is there. There is the cortical granules on the outer side of the cytoplasm of the ovum. Once one sperm enters, the cortical granules are released around the ovum, which prevents the perforation of another sperm into the ovum. So assertion is correct. Reason: because quick blocking of polyspermy sets in depolarization of the egg plasma lemma and mobilization of calcium ions from stores within the egg. Is it true? It is correct because electrical depolarization will prevent the fusion of the cell membrane of the sperm and the egg, preventing polyspermy further. So remember cortical granules, remember calcium mediated depolarization. Matching. Ecology question. Extinct, endangered, vulnerable, rare. Extinct is no living individual remain. No living individual remain. Endangered is high risk of extinction in the medium term. Vulnerable is, which one is more at risk? Endangered or vulnerable species? Which has a greater risk? Endangered species or vulnerable species? Huh? Endangered or vulnerable? Extinct, definitely, they are gone. What is that? Dodo. Dodo. And what else is gone? Extinct, another bird. Dodo is gone. Then what? Huh? Sea cow. There is one beautiful rehabilitation center, wildlife rehabilitation center, created by the Ambanis. You know that? Vantara, VANTRA, some 1,500 acres forest. All it's apparently the most advanced wildlife treating center, wildlife hospital also. They have created the most advanced wildlife hospital and wildlife diagnostic labs and diagnostic centers also there. So some animals, wild animals which are caught in the fire, treating there. It's very nice. When you go back, you should watch a documentary on that. Okay, vulnerable is at a greater risk of extinction than endangered species. So endangered in the medium term, vulnerable is in the near term. You don't do something, they will be gone. Rare animals are not necessarily endangered, but they are present in small numbers. Next. Carcinogens present in tobacco smoke are polonium-210 and polycyclic hydrocarbons, radioactive polonium-210 and some 7 polycyclic hydrocarbons, polonium-210 and heterocyclic hydrocarbons, uranium and hydrocarbons. What is the correct choice? What is the carcinogen? Polonium-210 and polycyclic hydrocarbons. Do they have radioactivity? Is it radioactive polonium that you find in tobacco? Huh? Is it radioactive? Then every cigarette that is there should be radioactive, no? Anything which is radioactive, does it get activated when it is burnt or it is continuing to be radioactive? It is continuing to emit radiations. Polonium-210 and polycyclic hydrocarbons are the carcinogens. Industrial Toxicology Research Institute is situated in. This researchers on industrial pollution and toxicology. Where is it present? Lucknow. Man-made radioactive element SR90. What is SR? Strontium. Man-made radioactive element strontium-90 accumulates in the body through air, food web, water, contaminated soil. It is through the food web, contaminated food. Okay. LSD. Addiction to LSD. LSD is what? LSD. LSD is a synthetic hallucinogen. Expand LSD. Lysergic acid, diethyl amide. Very potent hallucinogen. Very potent hallucinogen. What does it do? Oh, leads to hallucination, damage to kidney, mental and emotional disturbance, damage to lungs. Primarily it is a hallucinogen. Mental and emotional disturbance do happen. Hallucinations can lead to mental and emotional disturbance also. But you don't, drugs are categorized or narcotics are categorized into psychoactive and psychotropic drugs. Is LSD a psychoactive drug or a psychotropic drug? Psychoactive or psychotropic? What? Hallucinogens are psychoactive drugs or psychotropic drugs? Psychoactive drugs alter the activity. Psychotropic drugs distort the activity, distorts the perception. Psychoactive drugs are mood altering drugs. Psychotropic drugs are perception altering drugs. Hallucinogens are perception altering drugs. Absence of a stimulus leading to a perception is hallucination. Nobody is talking, but I am hearing somebody speak. Auditory hallucination. Seen in which psychiatric disorder? It's also referred to as split personality. Schizophrenia. Correct. Schizophrenia has characteristically, it shows characteristic auditory hallucinations. We had a girl in our psychiatry department when we were doing our MBBS. So some 18-20-year-old girl with severe schizophrenia. She would refuse to talk to any of the professors also. One of our classmates, we were in final year MBBS, we had our psychiatric posting, 15 days posting, there is a 15-day posting only. During that time she was admitted in the psychiatric ward, schizophrenia. I don't know what happened, she felt connected with one of her classmates, one of her batchmates, Yatiraj. Alright, we finished our postings and all, but after psychiatric posting, the floor below that was surgery floor. we had surgery posting, we could hear her scream, Yatiraj, Yatiraj, in the corridor. This fellow was embarrassed. There is no need to be embarrassed. It's okay. Now, after that, after you complete your education or once you are doctors, you know there is no need to be embarrassed. He can actually be a part of the treating team to console her, comfort her, and make her more compliant. But at that time, it was very embarrassing. Okay. So, he was the source of joke and entertainment for a lot of us for many days. Huge scream. She was some 18, 20-year-old, 20-year-old. Finally, MBBS students will be around 22-year-old. She's shouting at the top of her voice. And this fellow is there in the floor next to that. Everybody is hearing. And during the postings, suddenly a sound comes. Yatira! Everybody looks at him. What is this? Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. Very good. Don't watch a clock, do what it does. Keep going. Excellent. Sometimes imagine yourself selling potatoes. Just to get motivated. Huh? What is that? The first two are very nice. But who wrote this? Sometimes imagine yourself selling potatoes just to get motivated. Who came up with that? You come up with this or you find this?
No, sir.
Who wrote this first one? Whose creation is that? Okay. You came up with that or you found it somewhere? You found it somewhere. Okay. Second one, who wrote? All three. You got hyper motivated by the first two and you wanted to bring down it a little bit. Sell potatoes on the street. Okay. Headquarters of World Health Organization is located at Geneva.
Switzerland.
World Health Organization is becoming more and more redundant now. Nobody cares about WHO. Especially after the handling of COVID-19, WHO has lost its credibility among nations also. Doctors don't bother much about WHO. Match the following: mood disorder, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, anxiety disorder. Mood disorder, what does mood disorder mean to? Okay, which one do you want to catch hold of? Of the four, which one do you want to fix as this is definitely right? Come on, correlate it logically. Catch hold of one thing. There are some things which you have experience of also. Huh? Anxiety disorder. You are experiencing it often. Don't experience it. What will happen when you are anxious? When anxiety happens? Huh? Sweating, nausea, diarrhea, trembling. Exam diarrhea is very common. When you have exam, suddenly you will start having diarrhea. Only tension. That's called tension diarrhea. There is tension diarrhea, tension headache. Okay. So anxiety disorder 3. Very appropriate question for a NEET paper. D3. 3, no? Whatever. Anxiety disorder is sweating, nausea, diarrhea, trembling. Borderline personality disorder is quarrelsome behavior. Borderline personality disorder is quarrelsome behavior. Just keep fighting. Then schizophrenia, distorted thought. Mood disorder, depression. Depression is on one end of the spectrum of mood. The right mood is what? You are balanced. You are neither too excited nor too depressed. Ups and downs happen, emotional ups and downs happen, but you get back to a balanced state. Depression is one end of the spectrum, when you are constantly in the state of sadness. On the other side is what? On the other end of the spectrum, what is there? Depression is one end. where the person is always blooming. On the other end, Ranveer Singh, mania. On the other end of the spectrum is mood disorder is mania, hyper excited. Have you seen him? He is not maniac, okay, but that is the reference. Without that kind of a personality, he will not be able to carry on the role of Bajirao. Okay. Anyways, if somebody is moving from this end to that end, what do you call it? Sometimes the person is very depressed and the next moment they are jumping and happy and excited and elated. No. Not the right way to think. It's for understanding. Okay? You should be supportive. If somebody is experiencing psychological trouble, you should be supportive. You should not be referencing that. What is this movement? What do you call it? It is bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder. All of us will experience all of this. Is there anybody who has never experienced depression? No. Everybody experiences depression. But staying there is abnormal. Staying there is abnormal. So based on the reactions that you gave, I can judge who is experiencing it now. Anybody without depression? No, sir. I have it now, sir. Okay. Mania also happens. Sometimes you are very hyper excited, very happy. That is a maniac trait. But you don't continue to be like that. If you are continuing to be like that, that is abnormal. Okay. The difference between normal psychological functions and the psychological illness, that's a very thin line separating it. That is why you should not pick up some psychology books and start reading it to identify what problem you have. Because you will start feeling that you have all the problems. Should always learn it from a teacher. Schizophrenia I discussed. Schizophrenia is referred to as split personality disorder. Diseases and causal agent: AIDS, syphilis, viral jaundice, STD. AIDS is HIV, syphilis is treponema pallidum, viral jaundice, hepatitis B virus, STD, Neisseria gonorrhea. Common STDs that we will study is syphilis and gonorrhea. Syphilis is Neisseria gonorrhea, syphilis is treponema pallidum, spiral bacteria, Neisseria gonorrhea is gonorrhea. Which of these produces chancre as the lesion? A rubbery, painless nodule in the genitals. Is it in syphilis or gonorrhea? Chancre. Gonorrhea. Gonorrhea characteristic is lesion. That is the rubbery lesion. Syphilis progresses in 3 stages. Locally, it will infect first. The genital infections happen. You see the genital symptoms. Then it subsides by itself. It enters the bloodstream, causes a bout of illness, colonizes liver, subsides. Then it can enter the brain, causes neurosyphilis. Neurosyphilis is deadly. Neurosyphilis is deadly. Genetic traits are often carried on separate chromosomes, which genotype represents a dihybrid organism. Genetic traits are often carried on separate chromosomes, which genotype represents a dihybrid organism. Capital T, okay, dihybrid organism means somebody who is a heterozygote for both the characters. Heterozygote for both the characters. That is only one here, option B. Capital T small t, capital R small r. In an experiment, F1 was crossed with heterozygote, dihybrid heterozygous organism was test crossed with homozygous recessive. The genotypes of the parents of F1 should be. The genotypes of the parents of F1 should be what? See, that's a simple question. genotype of the parents of F1 is always homozygous. Homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive for all the characters that you study. If it is a Mendelian cross, in a Mendelian cross, parental generation is always homozygous. F1 generation is always heterozygous. F2 generation will have a combination of all the traits. Homozygous, dominant, heterozygous, homozygous, recessive. All three are seen in the F2 generation in a Mendelian cross. This is a question simply asking you about what is the parental generation for this particular organism. Homozygous for both the characters. The parents are homozygous for both the characters. One parent is dominant for both the characters, one parent is recessive. So the choice is A. Neurons present in the dorsal root ganglion of spinal nerves are. Neurons present in the dorsal root ganglion of spinal nerves are what? Unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, bipolar, multipolar. See, dorsal nerve root is what? Dorsal nerve root is sensory or motor? Dorsal nerve root is sensory or motor? There are two nerve roots, ventral nerve root and dorsal nerve root. Sensory, dorsal is motor, ventral is sensory. Correct? So the dorsal nerve root appears to be unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, but it is not, because it has a very short dendron and a long axon. Pseudo-unipolar. A lady sues a man for support of her child. She has blood group B. Her child has blood group O. And the man has blood group B. Could the man be the father? Could the man be the father? The mother is of B blood group, the one whom she is accusing to be the father is also of B blood group, and the baby is O blood group. Could the man be the father? All four are giving yes, but proportion is being given. The only possibility for the man to be the father is if both the man and the woman are heterozygous. So, IB small I, IB small I. So what is the possibility? This is like the F1. This is like the F1. What do we want? We want small I, small I. So the F2 generation monohybrid cross. This is a monohybrid cross. This is like a monohybrid cross. F1 cross between the F1. What we are looking for is the homozygous recessive. In the F2 generation, what is the homozygous recessive probability? The genotypic ratio in the F2 generation is 1:2:1. So 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 is the possibility. Correct? 1 out of 4 is the possibility for the man to be the father. If the man was of blood group A, what would have been the possibility? If the man was of blood group A and the lady is blood group B, what is the probability that what is the possibility that the man is the father? It is still the same. Only possibility where you could rule out is if the man is of AB. If the man is also O blood group, still possible. If the man is of O blood group, what is the probability? The probability is 50%. Correct? The probability is 50%. 1/2. Here it is 1/4.